Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the August meetup for 2024 with our special guest, Tino Mavunga, who is joining us. Where are you now, Tino?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Hello, Andrea.
Phoenix,
How you doing?
Phoenix, Arizona. She was originally supposed to be joining us from Johannesburg, South Africa, but since the time that we scheduled this meetup, she has since relocated back to the US. And we're very happy to have her here. So before we get going, let's first and foremost start the way that we usually do, giving thanks and honor and praise to Almighty God with a prayer. Heavenly Father God, we thank you so much for this edition of the Bahamas Agile and Project Management community. We are so grateful and thankful for all of the opportunities you've provided to us as a community of practice. Lord, we've been grateful and appreciative of the growth we've experienced. We are nearing 1,000 followers on our meetup page there, Father God. And we ask that you would continue to bless us as a community as we share not only knowledge, but we share our experiences and we invite others to come and join us and celebrate with us as we experience good times of fellowship and learning. Lord, I thank you for our speaker, for her courage of being here with us and her awesome presentation that she would share with us. Lord, I thank you for all of the persons who are here and those who are on their way. May this meetup be one of extra encouragement for those of us who work remotely with global teams. And Lord, may this knowledge be something that we could apply right away to our work lives and also to our personal lives. Lord, we thank you for this day and every day. We ask you for your continued blessings upon us. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. Amen. So
Amen.
for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we'd like for you to know that we are a very interactive community. As your host, I love to speak, but I don't like to speak to myself. So I want us to be interactive and engaged. So if you want to come off camera and say where you're joining us from, if this is your first time, I know Sarah has been with us a few times before, but anyone else who's new joining us for the first time, you can type it in the chat or you can come off mute and let us know where you're joining us from. And if this is your first time joining this community of practice. And don't be shy, because when Sarah first started joining us, she was very shy. But we was able to get Sarah to start talking to us. She's still shy, but she talks to us sometimes.
Greetings. Hi, my name is Lydia Prado Peñalver. I am speaking to you all from Miami, Florida. I'm looking forward to becoming a project manager, scrum master, remote project manager, scrum master. I am in my room right now, in my work area, and I apologize if I am not in screen, but I am self-conscious of how I look without makeup and without having my hair out because it's right now braided. But I really am looking forward to this particular interaction and gaining as much support as possible, as I am a career changer, and I am just really engulfing myself completely in this field. I recently went back to school, got an MBA, got my certifications. Right now, I'm in the process of studying for the PMP exam, which I'm looking forward in taking on September 16th. And I am just applying myself 110% so that I can pass it on my first round. But I am desperately in need of gaining as much support and building a sort of like a family, because I am basically alone here in Miami. My mom passed away last year, and the best way that I can honor her is by building a career that I'm really, truly going to enjoy, and I'm going to be able to travel. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, thank you so much, Lydia. That was a lot. First of all, condolences on the passing of your mom. Congratulations on you pursuing your PMP. It's not an easy exam, but it's not an impossible exam to pass. So I'm glad that you're applying yourself and you have a end date, because that's the most important thing, to have that date set so you'd know that you're working towards that goal. Then you talked about not wanting to come on camera because your hair wasn't as how you wanted it, no makeup on. Well, my hair isn't never the way I wanted, and I rarely wear makeup. So do not let that discourage you from coming on camera at all. We are a family here and we welcome you into our community. Any assistance that you need, just know that you can reach out to us and we will gladly support you, even if it's just to go over some PMP questions with you. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I will share my LinkedIn link in the chat and know that we are here to support you in your endeavors. Anyone else wants to share? If this is your first time with us, where are you joining us from? Anything that you're working towards? Certifications? Hi.
My name is Bertram Taylor. I'm joining you from Andros in the Bahamas.
Yes, sir.
I've always made the effort to try and get on, but this is the first time I actually got on. So I'm presently doing some study in project management with Google. That's Coursera, I think it is. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping to get some information to help me along in that process. So nice being here today.
Okay, you too, Mr. Taylor. Great to have you with us all the way from Andros, another island in the Bahamas. For those of you who do not know anything about the Bahamas, we are a chain of islands, 700 islands and keys, and I'm located on the capital, New Providence, Nassau, and Mr. Taylor is on another island, the largest island in the Bahamas, which is Andros. So anybody else wants to share? New first-timers?
Hi.
Hi. Go ahead, Alberto.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Alberto. I'm from Nigeria.
Welcome, Alberto. First timer, welcome all the way from Nigeria. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join our meetup.
Out of my night, actually.
Pardon me?
Out of my night, not out of my day.
Oh, it's nighttime in Nigeria. I keep forgetting these time zone differences. Okay, so you took some time out of your night. I hope it's not too late over there.
It's past 9.
Okay, so it's not too late. Past 9, you said?
Yes, past 9, yes.
Okay. All right. So are you pursuing any certifications in project management or Agile at this time, Alberto?
Am I what? Sorry, I didn't get you.
Are you pursuing any certifications at this time?
Am I? So what I want to do is I have a PMP. I have a couple of Agile certifications. So what I'm looking at is to take on the portfolio PFMP or PGMP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, good luck with your endeavors, and I hope that you will return to our community and share your success stories about how you were able to ace that exam.
Wow, thank you.
Okay, is anyone else wanting to share if this is your first time with our community? And where are you joining us from?
Hi, it's me, Arsalan. I'm from Pakistan, and it's 1:10 a.m. currently. I have also office tomorrow. And what about me introduction? So I'm working as Scrum Master in a private company as a UWorks name, and overall I have around 5 years of experience. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Muhammad Arsalan. You said all the way from Pakistan?
Yep.
And it's 1 a.m. in the morning?
Yes, 1:10 a.m. Yeah.
Wow, that is impressive. I think you are the first person who may be joining us from Pakistan.
Yep, maybe.
Could be. But thank you so much for staying awake and for joining
Yeah,
us.
I was waiting for this session, so that's why I'm here.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to let us know where they're joining us from, and if this is your first time, and what you hope to gain from this session? And I hope you guys realize I'm trying to perfect that awkward silence where they say you allow persons to get to that point where they respond to your questions and your prompting by just staying silent, but that's still a challenge for me. So I fill the awkward silence with more talking. So if no one new wants to talk, Sarah, would you like to say where you're joining us from and how many sessions you've attended? I know you can't remember.
I don't remember. I feel like I've been coming for a year or two, maybe on and off. And I'm just out of Tampa, Florida.
Okay. Are you pursuing any certifications or looking for work? What's going on?
I have my Scrum certification I got in 2020 and then just didn't do anything with it and just did other things. I'm currently in a type of sabbatical where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I got married in March, and so I just have time to figure out what I want to do. So that's what I'm at.
Well, congratulations on your wedding and getting married. That's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. We sometimes celebrate all the educational achievements and forget about the life achievements. So congratulations on getting married. And we have a regular with us, Kenny Mackey. Kenny, are you at work? Can you talk or do you have to stay on mute? Would you like to say a few words?
Hey, afternoon, everybody. Good day, Andrea. Yes, I am still to work, waiting for that great 5 o'clock hour. But managed to slip away somewhere quiet to tune in. So it was a pleasure.
All right, thanks, Kenny. I hope you're not in a broom closet somewhere. So thank you everyone for joining us. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today. Tino Mavunga is a seasoned project and program manager with a proven track record of driving significant impact and delivering results across diverse technology platforms. Currently serving as a senior project manager at Andela, Tino excels in establishing governance standards, managing complex issue tracking systems, and leading global initiatives. Her leadership in developing systems, training libraries, and overseeing Smartsheet dashboards has greatly enhanced operational efficiency and partner satisfaction. Let me slow down so I don't slur my words. Prior to her role at Andela, Tina was a program manager at VIMO. Is that correct? VIMO?
Yeah.
VIMO, where she successfully coordinated cross-functional teams and removed project impediments. Her expertise was instrumental in conceptualizing a 200,000 interactive voice response technology proposal for the UNICEF GH 2022-2023 pragmatic year, demonstrating her ability to drive high-value projects and manage substantial budgets. As a small business advisor with the Alan Gray Orbis Foundation, Tino facilitated strategic planning sessions and performance analysis, helping entrepreneurs to refine their business goals and enhance profitability. Her role at Jetstream Global involved leading product development for the JetPay payment application, where she utilized Lucid Chat to create detailed user journey maps and stories. Earlier in her career, Tino served as a senior consultant at July 28 Group, where she significantly improved business processes and customer satisfaction. Her strategic application of Scrum principles and exceptional customer service led to a notable increase in social media engagement and a high client retention rate despite challenging economic conditions. With extensive experience across various sectors and a commitment to achieving excellence, Tino Mavunga continues to make a substantial impact through her strategic vision and effective project management skills. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to introduce to this platform Tino Mavunga.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea, for inviting me, and thank you so much for the introduction. I believe we've been speaking about me coming to present since March. if I'm not mistaken. So it's really amazing that finally we get this chance to meet also and to also engage with your community. So I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you as well. So Tino, when you're ready, you can share your screen and we could start the presentation.
All right, so I'm now sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see it.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. So I'm really excited to be here today on and presenting on this topic, which is managing projects and expectations remotely as a project manager. And the theme of my presentation is communication is key. So a little bit about me. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and management, and I'm also a certified Scrum Master. Over the last 4 years, my primary experience has been driving IT project management, and that is the field that I have built my core project management experience in IT project management and also in consulting. I'm currently a master's in digital transformation student at Thunderbird School of Global Management at the University of Arizona. And for those who would love to get in touch with me after this presentation, this is my email and my phone number. So let's get into it. Okay. So. Okay. So I believe Andrea just gave a very small, sorry, not as much, she gave the full biography of who I am. But I would also add that over the last 10 years of my career, I've worked in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana, and Spain, and now I'm currently based in the United States. So I have a global perspective and a multicultural perspective, and I've worked with people from all across the world to deliver global projects. So I'm excited today to share my experience with you. So as a project manager, I have found that the most important thing when you first get into a new role is to know your position. And that is to understand so clearly, am I in an existing position or is this a new role? In fact, this is one of the questions that I actually ask in the job interview. Because when you know if you're stepping into an existing position, then you know you're coming in to ask, do you have an existing project charter? And if you have an existing project charter, then you know there's a sponsor that you need to be working with. But if you are coming into a new role, then you know that you are responsible for putting together the project management plan. So one book that I've actually relied on ever since I started working as a manager is this book by Julie Jour called The Making of a Manager. And Julie Jour was actually one of the very first design managers at Facebook. And she was only 25 years old when she was asked by her direct manager to become a manager. And she had to start managing her friends. And this book has actually helped me throughout my entire journey as a manager. And the very first, one of the very first chapters speaks about this very fact of knowing your position. Once you know if you're stepping into a new role or an existing role, you know your clear next steps. If you get into the role and you realize there is no project charter, then you realize you have to speak to the sponsor so that you can marry the objectives of the project and come up with a project management plan. But if you know that there's an existing project management plan, then what you are doing is that you're already playing a catch-up role where you're trying to identify where are the gaps, what are the things to be done? Is there an existing meeting cadence? How do I maintain this? How do I talk with my team? So it's essential to quickly understand the role and the expectations. And of course, this involves assessing the team skill set. What kind of skills does the team have? Are there gaps in the skill set? What kind of existing communication channels are there? Are these communication channels working well? Is there documentation set up? What kind of process does this company work with? And what are the organization's goals? And as the project manager, being clear with that will help you in setting expectations and your team will quickly understand that you are there to work with them and to help them to meet their goals. The next one is how to manage the team when you are new. So this is often a very, very difficult challenge for a lot of people. Sometimes it's your first time working with people from different cultures. Sometimes you're the only woman in a team full of men. Sometimes you're the only man in a team full of women. The best way that I found is setting up one-on-ones within the first 2 weeks with all of the new team members, because what that does is that you will know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and how in terms of the information cog in the organization, how does it work? Who is dependent upon who? What are the dependencies? But when you don't set up the one-on-ones and you jump into the team and you don't set up the one-on-ones, it becomes very difficult to establish a culture of clarity, which is what you need to do, because the team needs to feel that you've taken the effort to get to know them, and they also need to get to know you so that you can build trust. As I've mentioned, most of my experience has been working with IT development teams, and I actually started out as a non-technical project manager, but over the years, I've actually become very, very technical. And if you've ever worked with software developers, then you would know that these teams, they are often self-organizing. So they wouldn't necessarily need direct management, but they would need supportive management. And that would be you setting up those communication channels. And you can only establish that if you make an effort to do one-on-ones with these team members. So I'll move on to the next slide. So I think if you've maybe worked in business before or studied business, then this is a diagram that you've come across at some point before, and that is Tuckman's stages of group development. And this diagram just shows us how a team starts and grows over time, whether they are managing a project together or they are building a new product, a new product together. And this is where, at this storming stage, where a project manager's guidance, stewardship, being an advocate is really, really critical, so that the team is able to get to the norming stage, where once they've come up with a couple of wins together, once they have overcome a few challenges together, the team starts performing and the team has got their handle on things. And you, as the project manager, you are guiding, you are setting up the weekly meetings, you are sending out the meeting notes, you are supporting the team with all the resources that they need. And of course, once the project is done, you then complete your retrospective or you do a lessons learned meeting to identify critical ways that probably you could implement better. And as a project manager, when you are working remotely, because most of the time you might never meet some of your colleagues. For example, when I was working as a project manager on assignment to Hewlett Packard, I was working remotely in South Africa, Barcelona, and my entire team was based in the United States. So I started with the team and I ended the project, and I have never met any of my team members. But that was actually one of the best jobs that I had. And that was because I understood that as a project manager, you as an IT project manager working remotely, your role is to be the team's protector and best advocate. We all know working in IT, systems go down. Sometimes things are not working. Sometimes resources are not forthcoming on time. When situations like that happen and the team is down, the team needs to really, really know that you are on their side and you're not at that moment furiously typing away, updated meeting notes of all recent failures to management. You need to be able to build trust so that in a moment of crisis, the team knows that you are going to support and guide them through identifying the root cause without spreading blame. And that these are the meetings that you invite management to meetings with solutions and not meetings where you are discussing challenges. So that is a big way in which you can steward the team productively through the different challenges that occur. And then that is the way that you can be an advocate to the team is privately when you have either chances to speak with your sponsor or your own direct project management lead. That's when you share the true extent of the challenges, but always in terms of this is the resource that we need and with agreed upon solutions that the team had. In my experience, I once had an opportunity where I was asked to take over a project when it was already in the middle. But this was a project that was very, very technical, and I didn't have the technical knowledge. And the project meeting to deliver updates was on a Monday afternoon. So what I would do every Monday, I set up a meeting with the IT team on a Monday morning. And the objective and agenda of that meeting is, what are we going to be telling management today? What is our progress? What have we done? Where are our challenges? What do we need so that we can jump over this challenge? And whatever we had agreed on, that is what I would go and present. And in that way, the psychological safety of the team is what we maintain because we always agreed on the same status that I would present to management before going forward to share that status with leadership. I'll move to the next slide. However, things sometimes don't work out well. And one management philosophy that I live by as a project manager is radical candor. I make a very, very great effort whenever I join a team to get to know my team members and to build a personable relationship with my team members so that when things aren't going well, I'm able to give direct and honest feedback while also showing genuine care for what is happening. And this was actually popularized by Kim Scott. She's a famous Silicon Valley executive, did amazing at Google and did amazing at Apple. And she wrote a book called Radical Candor, Be a Kick-Ass Boss Without Losing Your Humanity. It was published in 2017. This is, in terms of management Bibles, that book and Making of a Manager by Julie Joe are the two books that I have leaned on in my journey. And being able to build radical candor also goes, it's a two-way street as well. You can imagine, like, if you would know that you've managed to build radical candor, if you'd know that maybe your DevOps team member, a tsunami has happened or a tornado has happened in the middle of the project, and it's absolutely no fault of their own. As a project manager, while you're able to give that team member the room to sort out their challenges, you would already be thinking of ways and how you can close that gap without making that team member look bad. But it starts with the team member being able to be free to speak with you, to let you know that this has happened. I'm trying to solve it this way. Can you give me this time until I get myself together? And this is one way that I've tried, and it's worked really, really well for me. And then how do you request support when things are not going so well? And I think what is important is to go into solution orientation mode rather to go into victim blaming mode, and also networking. You can think of this as building a moat around your project. In any new organization that you get into, there are people who've been working there for a very long time. There are people who've been managing projects for a very long time. And for myself, as I've mentioned, I've worked mostly in IT over the last 8 years. That's my primary experience. So I know whenever I go into a new organization, I definitely need to have IT support, my own personal contacts in IT support, and of course, being able to have that conversation and relationship with the sponsor of the project so that you can let them know that this project has hit a glitch, or there's a gap here, or there's a dependency here, and I need your support to be able to get over this bump. This means that as a project manager from day one, in fact, what I would say, one of the primary things that you should be doing from the time that you first start the first month is identifying the relationships that are going to be core to your project being sustained, remembered, reported on, updated, and kept full with the required resources. And then, of course, once you've identified the people, you need to have those one-on-ones with them so you can get to know how you doing well in this project will also help them as well, and maintaining those. And I've done that by having monthly catch-ups, bi-weekly sessions, either with the sponsor or with interested parties. And as a result, when things maybe are not going so well, you would be able to get the support you need instead of reacting. That when things go wrong, you then start building that relationship, then start looking for the network and the context that you need to get over the temporary bump. Then moving on to the next slide, another key component of managing projects remotely is learning how to manage up. Learning how to manage up and speak to management is very, very important. When you get into a project, the buck starts and stops with you. If it's your name that is on the project, this means that leadership has given you this role because they believe you will share with them what the project needs so that they can achieve the objectives. Remember, at all projects are started to advance the commercial goals of the organization. And so one best practices, I'll read through them. Important emails should be sent first thing in the morning on or before 7 a.m. Now, someone would say, oh, let me send this email maybe 11 p.m. at night so that they will see my email first thing in the morning. I've thought to myself about this, and I've realized maybe between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning, they're going to get some subscription emails, and maybe this will throw them off course. But if my email is in their inbox by 6:30 a.m. or by 7 a.m., one, this signals to the manager or leadership that you mean business. Two, this also means that you need their attention and you want them to get this information and to consider it very early in the day. And the other thing is all serious information should be shared on camera first. Being on camera is crucial to building trust because people would look into your eyes to try and understand if you are telling the truth. And once you have shared the news, whether it's bad or whether it's good, everything should be immediately summarized via email afterwards. Email summaries should be bullet points or one statement lines, and never voluminous essays, because leadership and management, they are inundated by multiple requests for their attention throughout the day. So what you need to do is try and make sure your email is not very long, but it's all just quick bullet points of data so that they know what are the clear next steps or what is needed, what is your ask, what do you need from me, what do you need me to do so that I can help you. And the last one is very, very important, is to never leave out critical data, no matter how bad it is. In my experience, it's always better to share small fires to avoid big fires. And that is when you are trying to strike a balance between protecting the psychological safety of the team and also making sure that things are not reeling off the deep end and it's getting to a point where you are not going to be able to take it back or to solve it. So I'll move on to the next slide. And this is managing down. So managing the team sideways, other people that are involved, procurement, HR, admin, IT support, and internally other interested stakeholders as well. I believe that the most critical skill for a remote project manager is being able to manage information flow throughout the team, because you're like a processing plant for information in, information out, disperse, literally all day, every day. That is your primary goal. As a project manager working remotely, one of the things that you can always make sure to do is to share the agenda on time, not 5 minutes before the meeting starts, maybe a few hours before the meeting starts. There should be a cadence that the team becomes used to. If the meeting is on Tuesday, if the meeting is on Tuesday afternoon, we'll get the agenda maybe Tuesday morning with a request for us to add to the agenda items if we'd like to. Recurring virtual meetings. Recurring virtual meetings are very important. If there's anything else that you take away from this presentation, it would be this. Recurring meetings are crucial to establishing a sense of consistency in communication in the team, whether it is a weekly catch-up meeting, and then for Scrum, daily 15-minute stand-up meetings, and monthly stakeholder meetings. These are all very crucial cadences for you as a project manager to establish, so the team becomes quite aware that at this time, I also, if I have a contribution to make as the DevOps lead, if the meeting is on Tuesday, then they will know they need to do their meetings they need to make sure they have the information by Monday so they can then present on Tuesday. It is a way for the team to be well prepared always, and that can happen when you as a project manager take the initiative to put together everybody's email addresses, put together a recurring invitation that is weeks out in advance, that caters out to how much time the project is supposed to take. And then weekly meeting notes as well. Weekly meeting notes are so important. In my last role where I was working with HP, I started out to do one single page of weekly meeting notes. And by the end, when I exited the organization, once my contract ended, the company had over 150 pages of meeting notes on one project. So you can imagine, like, from a documentation perspective, they can take that data, put that data into ChatGPT, or put that data into Copilot. Can you tell me the multiple maybe challenges that this project experienced over the last few months? Can you give me insights and opportunities for growth? Maybe what were the top recurring issues? So it's also an opportunity for you to build data as well. And then another statement is respecting local holidays. So usually distributed teams, you could have team members in India, you can have team members like myself. I was working in Africa, and then at some point I was working in Europe, and everybody else was in the United States. And if it's a holiday in the United States, but it's not a holiday for you, it's a holiday for your team. And respecting those local holidays and parental leave requests is important, because the best realization is realizing everyone is living different lives, because we don't get to come to the office. That opportunity may never happen. So respecting local holidays, it might seem like a very small addendum, but it's something that is crucial, because people build their lives around being able to have time with their communities. So that would be very, very crucial. And then scheduling team meetings when everyone else is available, and maybe not one or two people have to be away for the 4th of July, or someone has to be away to celebrate Chinese New Year. Making sure that you are aware, like I said, building that personable relationship with your team members, and also realizing when people are available. And that is also, by setting up this meetings as well. People can then also tell you in advance, I won't be able to make this meeting in the next 2 weeks, but I'll make sure I send my information to X, Y, and Z, or share it with you in advance, so that you would be able to represent me. I believe that by learning to provide the accurate information, you manage down to your team by sharing just right amount of feedback. And the right amount of feedback is the one that gives you the next step and the next step, and the next step, and the next step. If there's no next step that has been identified, as the project manager, you have not shared enough information. There must always be a next step for every team member on the team and for your project so that things keep moving. The role is to keep things moving and to keep information flowing throughout the team until you've achieved the project objective or until the project comes to an end. And of course, in terms of resources as well, as a project manager, you manage sideways, procurement, admin, human resources to keep information and resources flowing through the team, because any delays for your project costs the business more, it just costs more. So being able to separately track that as well, and the team being able to trust that they can do their work, because you are going to be working on making sure all these other relationships with the stakeholders are well managed, would be important. So in that way, project managing yourself, so self-management would be key. And how I do it is that I always have sticky notes, and when I know maybe things are really hard, like there'll be multiple sticky notes on my wall, and then I just say these are like the to-do list that I have to tick off over the next few days so that I can meet my goals and have the next steps to share with the team. So I'll move on to the next slide, and that is documentation. And documentation is key. All of us are involved in one way, as Andreas mentioned, in project management. And so we know that establishing that central database of information is key. And if a database exists already, it's important to, I don't know if this is a real word, but it's a word I've always liked. But in my roles in my previous roles that I've worked in, when I have found one of the ways that you can be able to create trust with your team, maybe not necessarily cleaning up the data, because sometimes you don't know what is needed and what is not necessary, but just making things neat and creating your own new folders and adding to what is already there and existing, updating information, pulling people together. Can we go through maybe the invite list? Have a look at who's on this invitation list. Do we still need these people? Are they new stakeholders that should be informed, consulted? Let's have a look at this racy matrix. Over the last year, do you think this racy matrix is still relevant? Are there some new people that we are not considering that we need to think about? So that is sharing information transparently, SharePoint, Slack, Teams. There are multiple tools that you can use as a project manager for documentation. Sometimes you can use one, for example, Smartsheet. You can have your project management plan in Smartsheet. You can track data by building dashboards for easy data visualization in Smartsheet. And documentation frees you up as well as a project manager from a communication perspective, because then you're not fielding requests. I'm looking for this report, or I'm looking for this Excel sheet. Have you seen it? Once your team knows everything that you've shared with me, it's on our SharePoint, it helps, because sometimes as well, because of working in different time zones, there are some people who don't like working in the afternoon, and they will use their work afternoons for networking and building relationships. But at night, they are working, they are doing their thing. And those are the people who go in and access, their SharePoint at that hour, go through their documentation. You want to be able to build an environment for everyone to have access to the data that they need, that you are all creating and putting together in real time every day. That should be available. And as the project manager working remotely, that's your goal, to maintain the documentation. Moreover, when the documentation is well maintained, it gives us detailed access to records, like I mentioned, of past decisions. Now the company has over 150 pages of data of the decisions that we took at the time with the development team, and they have reasons as well for why we took those decisions. There are project milestones. When we achieved, they're there. So you can even also ask ChatGPT, can you look through this data and just tell me some of the project milestones for this project over the last 1 year? Or can you tell me some of the encountered challenges that this project experienced over the last 1 year? But you can only get that when you create, build, and maintain the data. And of course, we know historical data, super, super useful, making informed decisions, anticipating potential risks in the case that they would want to start that project, maybe do a second iteration of that project, or do a first minimum viable product minimum viable product review. They can look through that data to see what happened last time, what did we learn, and you can help as a project manager in terms of building the team to identify those patterns. Moreover, documentation also lessens conflict in the team as well. Like I said, by just having one single source of truth for everybody to look through at one point, that and co-creation is a very big thing. Like I mentioned in this meeting that we used to have with the IT team on a Monday morning, so that we present results on the Monday afternoon, we would co-create the data that we would share together. And the last thing before we sign off, are you cool with this? Yeah, yes, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this. Perfect. You go in, as a project manager, I would go alone to the meeting, but I'm going alone to the meeting and the team has already signed off on the documentation that we are going to share. And this documentation is on our SharePoint. So that is something that I found very, very helpful. So I'll move on to the next slide now. And that is, like I mentioned, the theme of this presentation is communication, because I think now the most important skill for a project manager to have is communication. Communication actually hinges on successful collaboration. It should be early, it should be quickly, and it should be fully. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Dr. Brené Brown. She's an amazing, amazing researcher stationed at the University of Houston, and she has done a lot of research into connection, how we connect with other people and how we work and belonging as well. And one of my favorite quotes from her is, "Clear is kind and unclear is unkind." And you can think very easily to maybe some instructions that you've received in the past. And maybe you're receiving instructions from someone you're scared to ask, what is the clear instruction? But as a project manager, that is your role. What is the clear instruction? What is the expectation? What is the role in terms of numbers? What numbers are we trying to reach here? When I was working as a program manager for BAPMC, all of our contracts were milestone based. So if you don't reach the milestones, then you cannot unlock the payment. But if that was not clear, then as a program manager, I would have kept on working, saying, oh, maybe if we reach 50% of our goal, we'll be able to unlock the payment. But it doesn't work that way. There was a clear expectation. And once I had that clear expectation, I was then able to work with my team to track that milestone. We're at 20,000 now, we're at 50,000. And when we reached 77,000 and we're able to unlock that, that was an amazing and awesome day. And that team was one of the most impactful teams that I ever worked with, because we were all pushing in individually, even from different companies, for us to meet our objective for that project. And that's because we had a very clear goal that we wanted to achieve. And in all of our meetings and communications, we were catching up to on our efforts, and we were driving in the same direction. Effective communication, it's a foundation for effective collaboration, and it prevents misalignments and conflicts. And written communication as well, it's a very crucial skill to have, being able to quickly sift through the dust and find out what is the gist of the issue, what is the one objective, what is the decision that we need to make here so that we can meet our role. Collaboration is essential across borders. We are all doing it right now. But without effective communication, it's noise. So I would also highlight that if there's a skill that we can all, it's a continuous life skill that we develop, improving our communication skills, how we share information, how quickly we share it, our written information, how we deliver it, what time we deliver it, who we deliver it to. And in that way, when you are managing projects remotely, when you've got that skill down, you find out that a lot of challenges, they dissipate, because once that clear instruction is there, everyone knows what their next steps are and what they're supposed to be doing. So I'll move on to the next slide. And the next slide is emotional intelligence. So I know emotional intelligence is a word that is thrown around a lot now in terms of us managing our mental health and how we show up in the workplace. Being a great project manager is being a skilled political animal. And watching yourself is key, because during your tenure, you may be ignored by underperforming team members as you request updates. You have to ask yourself, are they ignoring me because they think I'm not important, or are they ignoring me because they are not sure of what is needed to be done? And maybe I can meet with them to break down these goals into smaller, digestible parts that we can work on, so that we can move forward. Sometimes you may be left out of email distribution chains where you know that you're supposed to be a part of. And in some extreme cases, you may not even be given any training at all, but you are still expected to perform. This can cause frustration. And all of us, I believe, have our own different ways of working through this. But as a project manager, you are like the temperature of the team. So you have to be level as much as you can, because if the project has your name on it and you are the project lead, you are the project manager, that means that you have to find a way to make it work. Successful people find a way to make it work. So in my experience, how I've managed this, I've always get into an organization in the first month, build a moat around myself, which I would call like a support team. But it's also not just around myself, it's also around the project as well. If this project runs into trouble, who can help me from IT support? What kind of IT systems do we need to be thinking about that could affect my project? Is my sponsor available to me? If my sponsor is not available to me, is my direct project management lead able to support me when things are not going well? And knowing as well people's availability. I've worked in organizations where I realized if I wanted to get everyone on the same page, and that is people that would be maybe important stakeholders, I would have to schedule a meeting 2 weeks in advance. But in that 2 weeks, things are happening. Things are not happening, like things are happening or things are not happening. But you have to maintain your temperature as a project manager. So not taking anything personally has also been very, very helpful for me. And at the end of the day, closing my laptop and saying the work is done for today. Today I did my best. Tomorrow will be another day. But what do I need to do tomorrow? What do I need to do tomorrow? What does my team need to do tomorrow so that we are able to meet our objective? And having access to leadership that supports you is also very important. And I am also a woman of faith as well. So I have my own meditation and grounding practice. And at the end of the day, just mentally closing all those tabs in your head and turning off so that you approach each new day with a fresh mind is key to maintaining that enthusiasm, because at the end of the day, you also have your own goals to reach. All project managers are ambitious people. They want to lead, they want to direct and drive things. But when we are unable to get a handle on our emotions, it can be really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, even to move things forward, because you won't be able to necessarily maybe control how the other person reacts if as a project manager you lose your temperature. So I've often found if I'm feeling overwhelmed, meditation, grounding practice, and in extreme cases, taking time off, super key, just so that you can be able to ground yourself and get back to being impactful and reaching your goals. So, and with that, we've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you all so much for your time. I'm really grateful to be here. This is my first presentation in 7 years since I stopped speaking in public. So I'm so grateful for you and your audience. And I now invite any questions from the team. Thank you so much for your time. This has been great.
Thank you so much, Tino. I have written down 2 pages full of notes from you. You have been sharing so many nuggets and so many terminology that I have never heard myself. And also you shared resources. You talked about the 2 books, The Making of a Manager by Julie Zhao and Radical Candor, Be a Kick-Ass Boss Without Losing Your Humanity by Kim Scott. So I'm definitely adding these to my Amazon wish list and getting those materials so I can get up to speed on those books. We have some time to entertain questions. I didn't see any questions dropped in the chat, but I wrote down a few questions. Before I get to my questions, let me just ask anyone in the audience if you have any questions for Tino. The presentation was chock full of information, and let's ask all the questions we can. Wise, we have a
Hey, evening, Andrea, and evening here. Very excellent presentation. And the good thing about it is you were very thorough, I must say. You not just give nuggets, but you give the methodology as to the why. So anytime at least I appreciate that. Anytime you gave a nugget, you actually gave the rationale as to why you should do this. Even down to the emails, I was curious as to why you would say that send an email this time, whatever. You gave the step by step as to why you should do it. So really appreciate you sharing it even on that level. And with that, it makes it very challenging to even ask questions after the fact because you clarified so much. My only question is if you can please, what is your number? So you can share that in group, or any contact rather, where we could get the presentation, because that was very concise, but a lot of information, even stuff that I thought I knew, things that you're vaguely aware of. The amount of depth you kind of went into it in such a short space of time was very impressive. So more a comment as opposed to a question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McKay. So grateful. Thank you.
Yes. You know, what I was very drawn into was how you have the steps for managing up and managing down. And I think sometimes we take for granted how to send, or the timing of sending emails to capture people's attention, and then the format of sending it. Because sometimes, you know, some persons with these emails, they have like verbal diarrhea and they just write a lot of stuff that you could, you know, put some bullet points. Like nobody wants to read 6 and 7 paragraphs and they see they have an inbox with 30 plus emails in the morning. It's like, no, I'm not reading that. So in order to get your message across as a project manager, you have to be clear and concise. And I think in communication, you stress that about having the clear communication and why that's important, not only for management, but for your team members as well. And I have so many notes. One thing that stood out to me again was the recurring meetings. I don't think persons really appreciate the fact of having a recurring meeting and knowing that's on your calendar and having that expectation set. That cadence is super crucial because when you're dealing with remote teams, because I work with remote teams, and you have to juggle schedules. That scheduling eats up so much time just to try to get that sweet spot that works for this one, that works for that one. And if you have like 10 persons would have to attend a meeting, you can spend easily 2 hours just trying to negotiate that spot that's convenient for everybody. But if you have that recurring meeting and you know that, okay, we meet at this date and this time every week or every other week or once a month, nobody can ask the question, when are we meeting again? Because they won't show up to the meeting because they'd be like, oh, I thought it was this Friday. No, it moved to Tuesday. So the consistency of the meeting, it really helps with setting that expectation from the team. And another thing that you threw me off with that I have a challenge with my remote teams is respecting those holidays, those local holidays. Because for me, I work with team members. I'm in the Bahamas. We have like 12 or 13 holidays on our calendar. I don't know. We have a lot of holidays in the Bahamas. Then I have team members in the US. They want their time off for their holidays. Then we have team members in Pakistan. They want their holidays. Some in India, they want their holidays. So how do you juggle when you're working with teams that are all over the world and everybody have these different days for holidays? Like, how do you manage your resources and allocating time?
So I think if you've heard of something called pair programming, that's something that is also very helpful. So if you would have team members in Pakistan, maybe 4 people in Pakistan or 6 people in the United States, usually organizations, maybe they'll commit to only having 3 different time zones or maybe 4 different countries that team in to also avoid this same issue. But I have found there's really no workaround around it. Because if it's a holiday for that person, it is so difficult to get them to come in and put their best foot forward. So that scheduling, like you said, I've experienced that 1 hour trying to find a spot between people in Barcelona, people in Houston, Texas, and somebody who was in Malaysia, Singapore. But how did we resolve it? We pushed it out by one week. So in some cases, you realize maybe this cannot happen immediately or tomorrow, but maybe this can happen next week or in the next 2 weeks. And that is like a possibility that I would make clear. I would make it clear to my manager. I've looked at everybody's calendar. There's an upcoming holiday for this country. There's an upcoming, time off with this person. It is not going to be possible for us to have this discussion now, but it is going to be possible in the next 1 week or in the next 2 weeks. So from a crisis perspective, how important is it for for us to have this conversation now? Or is this something we can push out for the next 2 weeks? Then I give that decision back to them. Then they will let me know, okay, push it out by 1 week or push it out by 1 week or push it out by 2 weeks. And then if it can't be pushed out, then management is exercising their right to be managers. Everybody, we need to have you in for a 1 hour conversation. It might be over your holidays, but it's a management decision. It'll be quick. This is our agenda. Sharing the agenda on time. This is before the meeting. This is our agenda. This is what we're trying to get through. Everybody, let's come to the meeting prepared so that X, Y, and Z can maybe go off anyway and still enjoy their holiday. So coordination still and communication. Yeah, those are key.
That's so key. And you really stress from the start of your presentation, you stress how vitally important communication is in our profession. And I don't think it just stops at our profession. I think communication is critical and vital in every profession, because if you don't know how to talk to people and you don't know how to work with people, then everything is going to have a breakdown. So it's not just project management where we have to have excellent communication skills, but I think because we communicate so much and at so many different levels, we have to know how to bring it, like you said, manage up and manage down. You have to be able to relate across the board and across teams. So you're going horizontal, vertical, left, right, up, down. You need to know how to have those versatile communication skills and be well-rounded. But I find that a lot of persons, they don't know how to communicate with management because of fear, the fear that you have of talking to somebody who's your superior or even the project sponsor. But you made it clear, it's better to talk about the small fires whilst they're small fires than trying to talk about the big fire that you may have let slip through the cracks. So You spoke about having trust. You spoke about being honest in communication. So you, like Kenny said, your presentation was compact, but it was so full of so many vital information that I think all of us need to replay this recording later on, get a copy of your slide deck, do some more detailed note taking and put these things that you're sharing with us into action, because I've been working in project management for many years, and Carla is shaking her head as we talk, but it's like, these things, but when you say it again, you kind of like scratch the surface again, you bring it to the forefront, and you have us thinking like, wow, I never really thought about it that way. And some of the terms that you use, I'm like, I've never heard that before. Like, that's new. But what you did say that I think is worth repeating is you stressed the whole thing about mental health and being mindful that if you're in a place where you feel as though you need to take a pause or you need to take a break, then you need to be working in an environment where you could say to your supervisors or your superiors that, hey, I'm having this kind of challenge, and have that time to really take care of yourself, because we don't talk about it enough. I think we really don't talk about it enough. It's taboo. It's looked down upon or frowned upon when you say you're having a tough day or you need a moment, psychological safety. We don't have our teams in that space enough where they can feel as though they could trust us with personal information and say, this is what's going on in my life. Like I tell my team members, I don't need to know the nitty-gritty details of what's going on in your life. But if you need time to recover from something or deal with a situation, tell me so I can help you to get that time that you need. And I think, too, you stressed about the maternity leave and, the different things that we need to take in consideration. Sometimes we so, focus on getting back to work. We got to make sure our projects are delivered on time. When we have this baby, or in Sarah's case, Sarah got married, we want to rush back to work because, hey, we need to make sure that our project doesn't slip through the crack. But you have to take time for self, and self-care is very important. And I don't think we talk about that enough. We don't stress it enough, especially when we talk about female project managers. We already outnumbered 3-1, right? For every male project manager, for every one female project manager, there's 3 male project managers. So we then have this feeling like we have to be overachievers just to prove ourselves in this space. So if you're absent from work or your project slips or you can't meet a deadline, then you don't want to be labeled like, you're not an efficient or effective project manager. You don't know how to do your job. And, oh, we should have get a male because we don't have to worry about maternity leave. No, we have to stand up for our rights. And maternity leave is one of those things that, if we're in that age group where we're considering expanding our family, thank God I'm past that stage in my life, hopefully, or fingers crossed. But it happens. And so we need to be working with companies and with organizations that would allow us that time to be with our families and to really have that space. And it only comes through communication and having that frame of mind to say, well, I need this time, right? You're entitled to that time. But another thing we don't talk about is bereavement leave, right? And this year I've experienced so many loss of family members, like funeral just was on Saturday. And I'm like, okay, I have a project I'm working on. I have a team that's expecting me to deliver these things, but yet I have a funeral that I have to go to on a different island. What do I do? Right? So we have to talk about these things and let persons know that, yes, the project is important. We want to see it succeed. But if you need that time for mental health or family situation, you should feel empowered enough to speak up and say, I need this time. And it shouldn't be where you're working for an organization or on a project team where they tell you, no, you can't have it because we have these deadlines. It has to be that give and take, and you have to find that balance. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where your mental health is not prioritized, then I think you should be looking for another place of employment, because that's not the place to be.
Exactly. And if I can add, Andrea, I would say sometimes you can get into an organization and you can see that maybe this is not a place where people take, mental health days off, but you can be the change. You can be the change. I remember when I was a program manager and I was managing 12 projects, not directly, but I was responsible for making sure we've met the objectives of 12 projects. You can imagine on a daily basis, the number of interactions that you have to fulfill, they are massive. And the number of responsibility in making sure you carry out those interactions in a positive way that I have said, gives you a clear next step. At a point I said, I spoke to my country manager and I said, I need a mental health day. This has been a lot. I love my job. I'm enjoying my job, but I need a mental health day. Right now, I need a mental health day. And she said, that's fine. How much time do you need? I need 3 days. Let's plan it out. That was it. Let's plan it out. Maybe you can go on Wednesday until Friday and come back on Monday so that you can have Saturday and Sunday. So like a little long extended holiday. And that was great. And that's what I did. I went for my mental health day. I took some time on Wednesday and I was back on Monday, all fired up and ready to go. And ever since then, anywhere I go to work, I will take time off. I am objective. I will meet my goals, but I will always be the project manager who takes time off. I will never be the project manager who says, I've worked here for 5 years and I've never taken a single day off. No. The projects will continue, but there's only one you. And when you are not together, you need to coalesce privately so that you can come and present yourself together publicly. And you can only do that when you have time to yourself. When you don't have that time to yourself, you are setting yourself up for burnout. So I've experienced that burnout as well, as someone who said, like, when we're women as well, ambition, I want to prove myself. I've experienced that. So it's also from experiencing burnout as well that I realized I need to take this time off for me, because even if I'm not here tomorrow, this project will continue, but there's just one me. So
Yep, that is so true. And I have also experienced burnout, and it's not fun. Like, I was traveling and doing speaking engagements, and I would sleep for like 12 hours and I would wake up tired. And I said, why am I so tired? Like, I couldn't figure it out. And then my husband said, you've been on like 18 flights in the past few months. You're just going, going, going. That is why you're exhausted. And I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. And he was like, you're experiencing burnout. And I'm like, okay, that's what it is. I really didn't know what it was. I just know that I was sleeping, I was eating right, and I still was feeling totally exhausted. Like, I could not catch myself. And then what happened is you start to feel like brain fog. Like, you try to think, but you're not thinking right. And you could feel it, like I'm reading the same page over and over and not comprehending. So it's like it has some signs that tells you, something's going on. And I was swearing it was a vitamin deficiency. I was taking extra vitamins and vitamin C, and I don't know. It was just burnout, mental fatigue, it's pure exhaustion. And I couldn't figure it out until I just put a pause on everything. I went to the beach for like a whole day and just enjoyed being in the Bahamas, living in the Bahamas. I'm like, I live in the Bahamas and I rarely go on the beach. That needs to stop. So I took a beach day, took the day off, and just relaxed and didn't think, didn't do anything work related. And that really helped me to recover. It took about a week to really get back my energetic feeling. But that burnout, that's a serious thing. And you don't really know, you don't know that you're going down that spiral until you hit it and you feel it. And then it's like, oh, that's what that is. So be mindful, like Tino said, self-care is very important. And yes, we want the work to be done and be done properly and to the best of our ability. But if we're not our best, we could never give the best. And we have to not only be responsible stewards of our work as project managers, but we have a responsibility to our families. And if we're burnt out from work, how can we be good parents? How can we be good spouses? Like we have to find a balance. And speaking of balance, we had a meetup last month. I think it was that last month, Sarah, with Lakshmi and Kamal, where we talked about finding balance. So if you guys have not checked out that recording, I think it's live now on our YouTube page. That was an excellent presentation that we had where we talked about the importance of finding that work-life balance. And they gave us so much practical steps on how can we do this. So I want to really, again, thank Heather. I don't know if we have anyone else who wants to ask a question. Carla, you always key up with a question. Carla's like, not today.
I just want to say thank you for the excellent presentation. You gave me some good gems to really think about and to implement. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carl, for being here. Thank you for it.
Okay, so if no one else has a question, I want to share with you, Heather, our token of appreciation, which is your certificate of appreciation, which I'm going to share with you on LinkedIn to tell you that we greatly appreciate you and the awesome presentation that you shared with us. This was really one of our best presentations that we've ever had. And I don't know why you were so anxious about it, because you delivered and you killed it. So on behalf of the Bahamas Agile and Project Management community, I want to extend our deep appreciation to you for coming out of your hiatus as a speaker. You haven't been speaking for the past 7 years. You need to get back on the circuit because we are missing you. And we will celebrate you and support you wherever you find speaking engagements. In fact, I've already started thinking of different community of practice that I am going to reach out to and tell them, I have a speaker that you all need to put on your schedule. She is amazing. She spoke at our community of practice and we loved it. So I will do that. But I want you to know that this presentation really touched home. It resonated with all of us. We can take what you shared with us and put this into action like today. Like it's still early in the day. I'm still having a couple more hours in my workday. So I am going to take this and put this to work as of today. And I am so grateful to have persons joining us from Andros, another island in the Bahamas. We have somebody here. Muhammad is from Pakistan. We have Alberto joining us from Nigeria. We are truly a global community of practice. Our reach is beyond the shores of just the Bahamas. And Tino, you're joining us from Arizona. Carla, I think Carla is in Atlanta or North Carolina.
Virginia.
Sarah is in Tampa. We have persons all over the world just learning how to be an effective project manager and working with remote teams. So we're anxious to get your slide deck shared with our community and make sure that everybody has these, Carla call it gems, I call it nuggets, Kenny call it frameworks or methodologies. We all have our different term for it, but know that it's valuable information and we really appreciate you sharing your experience with us. And two more things we do before we sign off is we take a photo for our social media page. So for those of you who are behind these black name boxes, if you don't mind turning on your camera for a split second, we do a very quick photo for our social media just to celebrate our time together and so we can keep track of who joins us and reach out to you on LinkedIn. If you're contemplating taking a certification, please reach out. We have support for persons who need assistance with studying, study groups. If you're looking for a mentor, we have those as well. And I think if everyone who wants to be on camera is on camera, I'll do a quick screenshot. Thank you very much. I will also drop in the chat the SAU link for you to get credit for your Scrum Education unit. And also for those of you who have PMI certifications. You can self-report those by just putting in the information about the meetup in the portal. If you need help with that, please reach out to me. I can help you with that as well. The SCU link is in the chat. It's a tiny URL. Please record your Scrum education units. And if we have no further questions, I will stop the recording and give us 10 minutes of unrecorded, unedited, unfiltered, heart-to-heart with Tino before she leaves us. So thank you all for joining us again. Have a good afternoon.